All right, so here we go. So we've created our OU structure. We've created our employees 1 through 20, and now we're going to move the employees around. We'll move them to different organizational units, and we're also going to add them to different global groups. If I just take a quick look at Active Directory, we can see that I already have this OU structure created. I have an employees OU, and within that I have a factory and an office OU. So this is where our employees are going to be moved to, factory and office. And if I look at my temp employees OU, here are the users that we're going to be working with. I've kind of shown it two ways. Lines, well, let's step through the code again. So lines 3 and 4 basically define two variables. There's a factory variable that will have the distinguished name of our factory OU, and then also there's an office variable that has the distinguished name of our office OU. So we can run those two lines first. Now, I almost feel like jumping down. We're going to look at line 17 first, then we'll jump back up to 6. There's two ways there's multiple ways of going through loops in PowerShell. In my last screencast, I used syntax similar to this. There's also something called a for loop, and this will only make sense if you've had programming classes. But you can easily modify line 17 to move users 1 through 10. So which lines 7 through 14 are doing. So with that said, let's look at line 17. I'm first the first part of that line has us counting up from 11 through 20. If I just highlight that and run it, 11 through 20, then we're going to take those 10 objects, so, 11, 12, 13, 14, and each one of those is going to go through what we see in braces here, one at a time. So when our first object goes through that number 11, we are going to execute this get AD user commandlet, and it is going to get employee $_, which basically means get employee 11. That's the first time through. We're going to get that object and we're going to pipe it into the move AD object commandlet, which will then take that employee object and move it where? To our target path, which is the office OU. So in theory, employees 11 through 20 will get moved into our office OU. Let's try it. Let's run it. All right, no red. I haven't tested some of this, so we'll see if it works or not. So now let's check out our office OU. There they are, 11 through 20. And if I would have wanted to, instead of like using a variable here, I could have just as easily put in the distinguished name. Obviously, sometimes variables just kind of clean things up. So I could have done this just as easily. Right? Same thing. All right, so that moved 10 of our users. Now we want to move the other 10 users, employees 1 through 10, into the factory OU. So just bear with me on this. What line 7 is telling PowerShell to do, and again, you would be familiar with this syntax if you've ever had a programming class before. It's called a for loop. The way it works is a for loop starts at some number, so we're going to start at number 1. And you can tell here that we are actually setting up a variable, user index, and assigning that equal to the number 1. So we're starting off with 1. And then we're going to check, is this number 1, user index, is it less than or equal to 10? Well, it is, so we'll go through this loop. And then when we get to the bottom of the loop, what this line here does, ay caramba, right? It's going to take whatever user index is equal to, it's equal to 1 right now, it's going to add 1 to it. So what's going to happen is user index equals 1, we're going to check, is it less than or equal to 10? Yes, it is. So do all this stuff in here. Once we get to the end, we are going to add 1 to it. So now it's equal to 2, and then we are going to kind of go through this whole thing again. Is it less than or equal to 10? Yes, it is. Go through the loop. And we'll do that over and over again. So finally, after our 10th time through, user index will be equal to 11. So it'll be equal to 10. We had 1, we have 11 now. We're going to check, is it less than or equal to 10? No, it's not, and then we're done. So basically, all of this, lines 7 through 14, are basically what I did in one line 17. So it's up to you what you want to use. I'm just showing you another way of doing it. I feel like sometimes you'll see this more often online when you're getting other people's code, so I just at least wanted to expose it to you. So basically, in summary, The first time we go in a for loop, you first initialize a variable. That's the first thing. At the end of, before you execute the content in between the braces here, you do a check. Is that variable equal to or some condition? So in our case, is it less than or equal to 10? Yes, it is. You do it, and then when you're done, you do what's over here, which is in our case, just adds 1 to it. So once we're inside the loop, so our first time through, user index equals 1. Okay, so that's our user ID now. We then create this username, which is equal to employee, and we just slap the user ID on the end. This is kind of dumb. I could have just as easily put user index in here. Wouldn't matter. Same thing. There. All right. Now we're going to execute the get AD user commandlet, which will return an Active Directory user object that'll be stuck in our user variable. We will output something to the screen, and then we are going to move our Active Directory user object to this target path, which is this factory OU. So if I don't have any mistakes, let's see what happens here. Let's run it. Amazing. So let's go check Active Directory out. There's our users. 1 through 10 have been moved into the factory OU, and then 11 through 20 have been moved into the office OU. So with that said, so far we've moved our users. Now we're going to create a couple global groups. That's lines 20 and 21. Random. If I double check Active Directory users and computers, let's hit F5 to refresh this. There we go. GG Factory, GG Office, and they're both global groups like I specified. And if I click under members, there are no members yet. So line 24, the first part's going to count 1 through 10. It is then going to go through this code here 10 times. The first time through, it will add an Active Directory group member to our GG Factory global group. And who's it going to add? What member? It's going to add employee 1. The next time through, when this dollar underscore, that's the current object, will be equal to a 2. Same thing. Add a group member to the GG Factory global group. Who am I going to add? Employee 2. So basically this, in here, this gets done 10 times. Let's just try it out. Let's run this line. Done. Let's go check our Active Directory out. Our GG Factory. Members. There they are. Very cool. And last but not least, let's move the last users, 11 through 20, into the GG Office global group. All right. Well, there you go. There you have it. So what did we do so far? We first moved our users into different organizational units. And then after we got done putting them where they belonged, we then created some global groups, and we moved our users into global groups as well. And we'll use these global groups in a future screencast as far as setting up permissions and share, NTFS and share permissions. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.